Hello everybody and welcome to this amazing game of Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. It's pretty much just a prettier version of Final Fantasy. It does combine some of the Game Boy updates when they did a couple of releases and ports there, but it does maintain true to the original Nintendo version. Today we're going to discover what it takes to achieve 100% achievements for Final Fantasy. We're basing this on the Steam achievements and we'll see what it takes to get them done. Luckily for me, this was completed in a single run and the party was formed for this run chosen by Twitch chat, so thank them for the awkward setup. In total, there are 24 achievements in the Pixel Remaster. There are 7 achievements we'll get for just completing the story, 8 for grinding levels, money, and kills, 8 for exploration and collectibles, and finally 1 secret minigame to play. Nothing missable, and if we do miss anything, we're capable of returning to any location and claiming whatever it is we missed. I don't have to restart the run. Also, story spoilers ahead. Before we begin the journey, we form the party consisting of the 4 Warriors of Light. We have Turin the Warrior, Nikolai the Monk, Big the Red Mage, and Gilirus the other Warrior. Gilirus was pretty adamant he was gonna warrior harder than Turin, so we'd have to see how that played out. Most of the party came in color-coordinated clothing, except for Nikolai, who absolutely refused to conform to the red standard and wore blue the whole way. The story begins with the Final Fantasy opening cutscene, where bad stuff happens all over the world and a prophecy states that the 4 warriors holding crystals will come to their rescue. Unfortunately for them, these Warriors of Light were focused on making sure they do everything the game has to offer, so saving the world might be a bit delayed. First thing we have to do is visit the king whose daughter was kidnapped by his strongest knight, Garland. He offers to fix a bridge for us if we were to save his daughter, which you would think he'd want to fix the bridge because the world is in turmoil, but whatever, we'll do it. We head to town, stock up on weapons, spells, and armor for everyone before we start the journey, and then we head out into the world of random encounters where we fight everything every 5 feet. It's fantastic, and with nothing but goblins in the way, we pretty much get to the Chaos Shrine in no time at all. And after some quick smack talk, it was battle time. The first real battle of the game that wasn't just spamming the attack button. Except I lied, you could absolutely 100% win this battle by just spamming the attack button, but it is a fun battle, I guess. It's your first boss battle. Looking up at it, it's Mr. Garland. I got kind of bored of hitting the attack button, so I wanted to see what the pretty pixel effects were from the magic attacks, and it was pretty cool. A lot more beautiful than they used to be, so I was pretty excited about that. So the fight really isn't much to talk about, but I wanted to show the fights off anyway, so here's the fight. Back to the castle, the king thanks us, the princess gives us a loot because we talked to her, and that's actually very important, we'll explain later, and the bridge is rebuilt. Fancy. So we cross the bridge and the world's slowest text scroll begins, which could be summed up as, the Warriors of Light are gonna f*** someone shit up. Then bam, we actually did get the first achievement, even though killing him was the first achievement. They don't reward it till now, which is weird, but defeating Garland, done, 23 more to go. Part of the achievement hunt includes filling out a bestiary, which just requires us to kill all the monsters at least once. So I really only want to cover this one time, and I don't really want to say that we killed every single monster along the way, because there were over 100 monsters, and essentially we got most of them just by moving along. So heading on north, we find such things as the crazy-ass horse, which to be fair didn't look that crazy, but I'll take their word for it. Then we had the Warg Wolf and its wolf pack. As one may know, where the Warg howls, there also the Orc prowls, or just the entire wolf pack. Either way, it's tons to slay, and unfortunately, that's a big problem because large amounts of enemies takes a lot of time. It's random encounters every 5 feet, too many wolves. After much murder, celebration, and filling up the bestiary, we end up in a cave of a witch who recently lost her eye and is blind. So I did the only sensible thing at the time. We robbed the hag. Took everything, all the valuables inside the chests, checking off a large list of chests needed for achievements. Unfortunately, we will need to open every single chest in the game, so we robbed her blind. And we'll need to collect all these chests, visit every location, and with this out of the way, we're at a pretty good start. And since this cave was dead end, we just kind of left and headed east, and that's when it happens. The prophecy of the Warg and the Orc came true. Except, this isn't Lord of the Rings, and the Orc is more of an ogre, and we knew at this time it was all ogre now. The battle was on. The monsters all began bullying poor Turn, which was fine because, you know, he's a warrior. And then we just had Big try to kill it with fire, but that didn't work because Big's not that smart. He just doesn't have that magic damage yet. But Turn was tanking like a boss up until we realized it was all a ruse. They weren't really bullying Turn. They were going for the kill on Nikolai. And they got him, those bastards. The OCD in me didn't want the levels to not match along with the experience, because I loved looking at it all being the same, so it was best that we ditched Nikolai on the ground and ran back to town. We tried the most sensible thing first to revive a dead person. We threw him in the bed at the inn and hoped they'd be better by morning. Upon waking up in the morning, we realized Nikolai was still dead. So then we rushed him to the nearest church to confess our sins when we realized the priest actually revives people. So we resurrected the poor monk and we thought everything was okay. So then we threw him back in the bed just to make sure, and bam, the party was back to 100%. We're good to go. The next town on our list is Provoca, and on the way, of course, we encounter more ogres who return to put the smackdown on Nikolai. The world was really out to get the poor monk at this rate as they kept targeting him, and he has no armor, so he dies pretty damn fast. Luckily, we made it to town without another encounter, threw Nikolai in the first available bed, and boom, done, save, we're good. The town's being invaded by pirates, we kill them in cutscene fashion, and the captain just surrenders. Then we forcefully relieve the pirate captain of his boat and save the town. And then the way that I say this, it kind of sounds like I am more of a thug, but you know what? I got a boat. We're good. Before getting into the new shiny boat and sailing to vast adventures, of course, we're going to stop and buy new armor and weapons with whatever we got. But one thing I realized is that Nikolai was pretty adamant that he didn't want to wear anything and was totally going to play this like Dark Souls Soul Level 1 naked. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with no gear? Hopefully we don't find out. But the ogres did return with their chief, and there was another grand battle where Nikolai would be smacked into the ground. But luckily we pulled through the battle, and boom, bestiary at 10%, giving us our second achievement, 22 more to go. So just by grinding and getting all the kills, we've gotten quite a good start. Of course I want all the new shiny things. I couldn't afford all of it. We bought what we could, but now we're poor as hell, so we need to go grind deep into the mountains. And oh look, tarantulas! The green spiders, and nothing could possibly go, oh no. So poison's a thing, and the party is a bit poor from their current spending on the shiny new equipment, and I may not have gotten any antidotes with that. And with the limited antidotes we stole from the hag, we decided to pull our pants to our nipple and tough out the long haul back to town, each step dealing damage to the poisoned people, and every turn in combat dealing even more damage. Now they can't die out of combat, but they can absolutely die in combat, so I was kinda scared. But during the fights on the way back, we did slaughter our way to 100 enemies. Congratulations everybody! Our desperate need for a cure has led us to yet another achievement, 21 more to go. So, like any sane person, we grab Torn, we throw him into the bed, and then realize by morning he's not cured. We walk to the priest, they won't cure him, and sadly I found the only way to cure this bastard of poison was to spend hard-earned gil on an antidote and get him to drink his medicine. Now the issue is, he drank my only antidote, and if there are spooky Australian spiders outside of this town, we're gonna need more. So with a little bit of gil that we got on the grind out there, we bought 4. And we're pressing on. Oh, God help us. We were kind of expecting to fight some tarantulas along the way, but we did find a new set of scorpions. Alright. Oh my god, we're already poisoned. Alright. They're passing the entire party. Alright. 2 poisoned. Okay. Oh my god, they killed Nikolai. You bastards! So then, you know, well, with 2 people poisoned, the party leaves Nikolai on the ground to the scorpions and retreat to town once more. And that's when the realization kicked in. We're poor, and we can't afford to revive Nikolai. So unfortunately, I kind of had to go through the hard decisions of selling things I need, such as healing potions, to afford the priest's very expensive necromancy. We knew that Nikolai always wanted to be a monk, but why did he have to be such a bitch? After recovering the monk, again, it dawned on me that we couldn't sleep in the inn because we were poor. So we had to go outside like the bums we were and sleep in a tent. Being poor is a harsh life for these prophesized heroes. But this will have to do. Obviously, the world cared about the 4 warriors of light. So the grind's back on and the poisonings begin. I'm in desperate need for that money so I can buy the shiny things, and so the battle to grind for that hot cash moolah had to go on. 16 poisonings later, we made enough money to pay for all the antidotes and buy all the new stuff. But before we move on, now that we're setting sail for the new world, we have to break the 4th wall. Park the boat just a couple of spaces away, hold the confirm button, spam the cancel button as fast as we could to play the numbered minigame. Now, that's A on Xbox, and then spam B a whole bunch. Now, out of nowhere, it's a random ass number game. And I will not admit to the amount of time I spent trying to figure the puzzle out, but I did figure it out, okay? I did. Don't judge me. It was long. But bam, another achievement down, 20 left to go. As a side note, I did try to figure out why I didn't get the achievement immediately. I spent an hour kind of worrying why it wasn't coming out and if it was bugged, and I freaked out, had a panic attack, and it turns out you just have to battle something and then you get it. Which was hilarious because after an hour I had given up and I was just gonna go on and figure it out later. But we did it. We're moving on. So onward to the open water and random battles every 5 seconds, and immediately the water proved to be too dangerous for Nikolai as the sharks and everything in it were hungrier than Jaws as they were just flopping onto the deck to kill just poor Nikolai. And let's just say if he wasn't fully healed at the beginning of battle, he was going down. So after a long arduous journey of protecting Nikolai, we land and save immediately, and then move towards the nearest town. And of course we'd want to buy all the new shiny gear and spells, so we went out back hunting, grinding in the wilds to support our needs for all that hot loot. And after many more poisonings, because they're here too, we happen to earn just enough gil for another achievement, checking off the 10,000 gil earned off the list. So 19 more achievements to go, making great headway. Once we got enough gil stocked up on our things, we headed off to the Western Keep to talk to the king, who informs us of a crown that would give him amazing power to restore his kingdom in the Marsh Caves. So we'd be off to our first dungeon until I looked at the chest location list I had right in front of me and realized I had missed an entire set of chests at the Temple of Fiends. Now, you may have realized we were already at the Temple of Fiends if you have played this game before, but then you would also realize it wasn't called the Temple of Fiends, it was called the Chaos Shrine, which led to my confusion that the Chaos Shrine was not the Temple of Fiends, but that's what I get for using an outdated list. Update your lists, fam. Do not use outdated lists or you will take a 30-minute detour back on the boat across the ocean back to the starting area where the sharks would devour Nikolai a couple more times, and it was horrible. But we made it. It only took forever, but we did it. 30 minutes wasted just to get a couple of chests, which I could have gotten later, but we'll get back to that. With that massive detour, 30 minutes of my life gone, 5 seconds of yours wasted, the party ventures into the Marsh Cave. So it took a little while to venture through the mountains to find a cave, which is more like a pit, but it's a cave, I guess. Now, if you do know anything about a marsh or swamp in video games like Dark Souls, they're typically great for being poisoned in. So obviously nothing could possibly go wrong here until Nikolai gets poisoned by the first attack from the first tarantula we encounter. And I only had but one antidote. So now we're stuck in the middle of goddamn nowhere in a goddamn swamp with nothing to cure goddamn poison. This is fine. Oh, we're fine. Nothing could possibly go wrong after this. We did end up getting another achievement though for killing 300 monsters, so 18 to go, not bad. It wasn't until we bumped into some werewolves that we learned that they can poison too. So Galerius gets poisoned and we have to travel the cave with him taking constant damage both in and out of battle. And after several battles, I decided it's probably best to return to town because the red mage was running out of cura casts and my potion supply was getting a little dry thanks to Galerius's unquenching thirst for healing. However, midway back to town, the poison did eventually kill Gilly. And he died, because I didn't give him a potion. So I did the best thing any leader would do and abandoned him to the wolves as I scrambled to get some more antidotes. So I bought a boatload supply of supplies. You know, all of them, as the party was poor once again, living the life of street beggars. Marsh Caves round 2, and we ran into a new enemy, the green slime. Now, normally the other slimes are easy to take on, they're not much different from other monsters, you attack them, they die. But these bastards are resistant to physical attacks, and they poison. So the entire party is basically useless, except for Big the Red Mage, who luckily could cast Fyra, the AoE version of Fire. Thank God I spent all that time buying all the fancy new equipment. I had a feeling we weren't going to be chugging through our antidote faster than we could purchase them, because we probably were. This was fine. Everything was fine, but we had to keep going. We had to go deeper into the cave. I can't sit here and just keep grinding money to get poisoned and then antidote. We just gotta go, so pray to God we got enough antidote. Many poisonings later, with many antidotes used, we finally reached the chest that contains the crown, and of course it is guarded, and these guards hit pretty damn hard. And unfortunately, they're bullying Nikolai just as everyone else in the world does, and they killed him. You bastards. No worries though, we'll just put a phoenix down on him before the battle ends, and oh, never mind, cool. All that effort of keeping the experience the same, gone. It's gonna bother me. Kinda tempted to rerun the caves from the last save at the start. All that 40-minute grind for nothing. But you know what? I'm just gonna have to deal with it, because I'm not running the Marsh Caves again. We're abandoning the idea. We're just gonna move on. The monk will forever just be behind in experience just a little bit. And let me tell you, during this run, I was complaining for the next hour watching everyone level up at the same time, except for Nikolai. And of course, the random encounters are so frequent that trying to leave this damn cave, I actually killed another 200 monsters. It's kind of insane how many fights I had in just the Marsh Cave. And honestly, out of the 11 hours this run took in total, including all my mistakes, majority of it was random encounters. So, many battles later, I finally get out of the cave, we go to see the king, we give him the crown, and wouldn't you know it, bam, it was a trap. The king was an imposter the entire time, so we take on the next boss, Astos, I think is how you say. And in usual fashion, he killed Nikolai yet again with a death spell. Instantaneous. You bastard! And we'll just phoenix down him before... Oh, fuck you! After our bitter victory and growing experience deficiency on Nikolai, we got the eye for the blind lady we had robbed earlier, so then we exchanged her eye for a jolt tonic I didn't even know she was going to give us. I just gave her the eye, and so we get a jolt tonic, which we then take to an elf prince I didn't know was sleeping, but we gave it to him and he woke up, which sounds like jolt tonic's just another word for coffee, and I call my jolt tonic a Red Bull, okay? That's what gets me up in the morning. If you got a jolt tonic, tell me what yours is in the comments down below. So anyways, after you wake his ass up, he gives you the Mystic Key, which unfortunately unlocks doors that were previously locked in places I have already been. And also unlocks a door, you know, kind of in the future. But the problem here is, some of those doors are in the goddamn Marsh Caves. We're going back. Alright. So, you know... It's gonna be a long journey, but as we're leaving, collect a few more chests. We actually hit 10% of located chests, giving us yet another achievement, 17 more to go. So we grab our pants, we pull them up, and we prep for a few-hour detour to return to all locations that had all the locked doors for all the extra chests. And while we're in the Marsh Cave of all goddamn places right at the bottom of hell, we happen to reach the 50,000 gil achievement, putting us at 16 more to go. With that out of the way, get out of the cave, the journey finally goes on, and we proceed to the next required town, Melmond, where we ignore everyone's cry for help and immediately buy more upgrades in weapons, armor, and spells, and then return to poverty once more, right where I belong. And that's when I realized we should probably go ahead and do the first major boss of the game. So finally, we're gonna head out, kill the accursed lich, because more or less I need more money. I am out of the gil. So we head to the next major dungeon, the Cavern of Earth, which was shockingly less painful than the Marsh Caves, as there were way less enemies to poison the party. Even though we did get poisoned occasionally, we did have the spell Poisona, and 99 antidotes to keep me safe. We're done with poison. No way are we going down to that again. So we battle our way down the cave and actually reach 100,000 gil achievement, which means these bastards are paying us way more, and I kind of like that. 15 achievements to go. We're looking pretty good. The cavern is long, and there's really nothing noteworthy in here. There's chests, levels, and gil. The basic stuff. We grind it out, we get through it, and we reach the bottom floor. Boom, mini-boss. Vampire. And it's really, that's really a basic enemy, but okay, Vampire. I expect him to end Nikolai immediately, and I'm not wrong, he tried. He hit Nikolai, put him right into a critical state, and if it wasn't for Big slapping the vampire out of existence, Nikolai'd probably be dead. So Big kills Vampire, we walk further back, and then I realize we're not fighting the last boss yet. Why not? It's because there's a stone slab. Do you see that stone slab? I see the stone slab, and I don't remember it, but it's there. Now, I played the Game Boy port, so I thought I would remember a lot, which is why I'm not doing a live guide as I'm doing this, hence the detours. The only guide I had was the chest list. Oh my god. So anyways, I dial up that hot Nintendo hotline for those Nintendo walkthroughs, and of course the hotline's down. But we Google it anyways, and apparently there's another trade quest, and it comes starting with that vampire who dropped a Star Ruby. So now we take the Star Ruby, go to what's called the Titan's Cave to go get the Earth Rod to walk all the way back down here. Well, shit. That's a lot of walking. It only took 40 minutes to get to the bottom of this pit, so now I gotta walk out. Okay. So we get to the single floor cave where the giant is blocking our path. We give him the goddamn ruby, and then he just walks out of existence. Man, this game's great. Then right outside of there is another cave behind a cave, which is called the Sage's Cave, where an old man gives us a rod, and then we travel all the way back down to the Cavern of Earth, which was like an hour journey. I swear this game knew how to pack on the playtime, because it's not that long, but it's goddamn long. So bam, the rod turns the slab into stairs, we descend down the stairs, we get more chests, kill more monsters, level up some more. The usual, you got the routine. But while we're there, there's actually these unique enemies called the Cockatrice. I think it's Cockatrice? I don't know. Cockatrice is what I'm gonna call them. And they happen to inflict stone upon attack. So if you don't know what stone is, it's petrification. If you don't know what petrification is, that turns you into stone. So on basic attacks, these guys just have a chance to stone you. You don't get stoned, but you turn into a rock. And that counts as death in this game. And there's only a couple ways to cure it. A Phoenix Down doesn't, even though it does count as death, so if your entire party gets stoned, they're not going to be high off their ass. They're just going to be dead. So the only way to cure it is what's called a gold needle. And luckily, I had one. So I brought the warrior back, but now the risk of defeat was on my hands because any one of these attacks could just knock out my party and I have nothing I could do about it. So then the question came, do I take a 30-minute detour to stock up on needles, or do I press on? Oh, you know, after all the detours I'm taking, I'm not going back. I'm not turning this car around this close to Disneyland, kids. It's going to the Lich or bust. So luckily we got all the way to Lich without being petrified, and now the battle is on. Our first real boss, Lich, the Earth Fiend, is here, and actually is pretty weak to the warriors who are decked out in heavy armor. What up? But he can paralyze, and Turin gets paralyzed and just vibrates for most of the battle. Fancy! The damage from both Galerius and Nikolai was like hitting your sibling with a wet noodle. They'd be highly annoyed and would not die. That's fancy. It's up to Big to really carry the party here, and he's the only one with black magic. Unfortunately, the way MP works in this game is you're kinda low on casts, and unfortunately, we ran out of Firaga pretty quick, and all hope is gone, and we hang on to the last few digits of health points. Galerius plays the bartender, he makes the drinks, he throws them at people, everyone's drinking down, and the red mage gets a couple more casts of Firaga, and boom, we pull the win. Wasn't even close. Don't look back at that, don't talk about it. I know we almost lost to the first boss, but that was ridiculously hard. But we're going to be graced with the Earth's Blessing achievement as we accomplish the first major boss of the game. Although we defeated the boss, there was really no guidance to what to do next. It's like literally we defeated the boss and nothing happens. So I kind of just got on the boat, hit the sea, and drifted till I found something new. And of course that's random encounters every 5 feet. So tons of battles later, we got to Crescent Lake Town, which had a hidden area in the back, which I missed a couple of times, that leads to a creepy cult of old guys in a bit of a cultist circle that gave me a canoe. Now, I'm not going to be complaining that I got a canoe, but, you know, how do I know it's not a haunted canoe with this whole cultist thing going on behind of this hidden damn town? But anyways, it's a canoe. We know that's what we got to do, and so I take it out on a test drive. Little did I know that the haunted canoe was the least of my worries because there are random encounters on the goddamn canoe. Now, on the boat, that made sense. On the canoe, how the hell do you fight on a canoe? But anyways, apparently in the waters, there's not just any enemy, but it is a crocodile. But not just any crocodile, it is the albino croc. Now, I don't know if you know, crocs are not to be fucked with and what they're capable of. And I thought for a moment, the moment I found this beast, we found Nikolai's next grave, but we were lucky. It was weak as hell. We made it through. One long canoe adventure later, we end up at Mount Gulg, an active-looking volcano that we gotta travel through. And of course, as we get in, there's just this hot magma on the floor, and we just dip our feet into the hot magma and walk out with only a single point of damage. Sure, makes sense. Love the storytelling. Well, you know the drill. We venture through the hot magma, collect some chests, kill some monsters, fill out the bestiary, level up, the usual. And can I just say, the volcano was another 40-minute adventure. It seems like every dungeon is just going to be a 40-minute adventure. It is such a slog of just battles. I mean, hell, trying to collect all the chests makes this so much worse since you got to get all the battles every 5 to 10 steps, including the chests themselves, which are trapped with monsters. You get a battle, you get out of that battle, you open a chest up, and boom, monster. And so you gotta, you know, do a whole bunch of battles to get to the chest, to collect the chests, and then fight all the monsters inside the chests, and it's like, holy crap. So, you know, with all the fighting and the 40-minute adventure, we got pretty swole in level. Like, these characters were getting pretty strong. Finally, we get down to the fire crystal, guarded by, of course, yet another monster, and I had begged the game for saving, but I knew that wasn't going to happen. Even though I could cheese the new saving system they had, I wasn't going to do it. 40 minutes in, I kind of wanted to play this like the original, so I didn't save, even though I could have. So, I healed up using potions, entered the second major boss battle, and it was on. So begins the struggle, as I forgot to make sure that Big the Red Mage learned Null Fire. So we're pretty boned on defense since he's not going to be able to cast anything defensive to stop the fire spells. So then instead I just told Red to give haste to Nikolai in hopes that Nikolai would deal some damage. But it really wasn't enough. We then tried to give haste to Turin to deal some damage, which produced far better numbers than I had expected. Then she casts Fyra, and I was counting the turns that my party would be wiped, but apparently she's pretty weak and we took her out really well. That was holy crap. They even failed to kill Nikolai. You bastards! Well, we were lucky that that kill happened to be the 50% bestiary achievement, and we happened to get the achievement for killing that boss, putting us down to 11 achievements left. Let's go. Thank God for teleports as we teleport out and return to our journey, but unfortunately there's not a teleport to town, so we had to canoe our way back with all the battles along the way. However, unbeknownst to me, not too many squares away from the Mount Gulg, there happens to be a cave of ice, which makes no sense because lava should melt that, but whatever, geography. So we had to canoe back, and of course, you know, that's like a huge detour, so I'm not about to break, no, not yet. Now, it's time for the ice cave, which is not one of the crystals, unfortunately, because the next one's water. So this is just happens to have an item in it that you're supposed to know about, I guess. Well, this was just another location with a ton of chests. I happened to walk into a room with 6 chests, and you can guess what happened to most of them. Boom, monster. You know, just another 40 minutes of opening monster chests. Being ambushed by various monsters in said chests, you often begin to wonder how they cram 7 wolves into that tiny box. Oh look, Another achievement, 50% chest open, huzzah! 10 more to go. We are actually getting really close. So essentially the cave is a puzzle where you fall down, open chests, climb back up, try to get down the right hole and find the magical item which is just sitting there. And wouldn't you guess, monster. Oh god, even the items are cursed in this game. So a singular evil eye dare stare at my party, and the battle was going to be tensed. It was another mini boss battle. Turn takes his turn, and it's over. Congrats, we're getting out of here. That was easy. Wow, didn't really expect that. So anyways, this is the Levity Stone. I really expected that mini boss to put up a fight. Anyways, this is the Levity Stone, which you just take to some random patch of sand in the middle of goddamn nowhere, through your canoe, and bam, you get an airship. Who the hell put that there? I guess it doesn't matter who put that there because we now have an airship, and the best part about flying is that there are no random battles. Oh my god, yes. But next up was the journey to the Citadel of Trials, where we're going to navigate a maze of treasure chests to claim the rat tail, to prove ourselves to Bahamut, the King of Dragons, a thing we have not even met. So fancy. I don't know how we knew we were going to do it, but I did. And you can imagine how that went. Oh, of course, you had your random battles every 5 feet, and new enemies that focus on new mechanics. Now, these ones are bastards because on basic attacks, it's instant death. Because that's fair. And for once, it was Turin that fell in battle, and Nikolai was saved from lethal torment. And of course, monster in chests. Yes, these chests are also loaded with monsters that could fit in a tiny box and now have instant death on basic attacks. However, we do find a lot of useful items after these battles. Gauntlet and Life Staff. Now these are magical items that have spells attached to them. We're going to find tons of them later. But these two are very important because they allow you to cast magic at no cost. So you just use the item, it casts the spell. Now, because they're free casts and unlimited, of course the effects are very limited. It is free healing from the Life Staff, free lightning damage, which is AoE from the Gauntlet, but they don't deal nearly as much as your characters can, but it does really help on the long run. Finally, we get to the end of the dungeon, we grab the rat's tail, and then we fight the dragon zombies at the end, which were a hilarious joke for how strong the party had gotten to this point. Sit on the throne, teleport out, move on, we're done. Boom, end up at Bahamut to earn our class upgrades, forming our party into the new and improved Warriors of Light. So our warriors, Turin and Giliris, become knights, which can learn basic white magic. Nikolai becomes a master monk who doesn't learn anything new except to deal more damage and be more tanky the more naked he is. The Dark Soul strategy there might actually now work. Big the Red Mage became Big the Red Wizard, who can now learn advanced magic, but not everything. Like, a lot of it, but not all of it. But more importantly, we slap another achievement out of the way. Boom! Bahamut's Blessing. 9 more to go. You know I took the airship and flew around the world to get all the upgrades. That detour didn't take nearly as long. We had the airship. But we had to prepare for the final push of the game. We gotta take 2 more crystals and beat the final boss. And of course, we can't do this exactly quickly. It is Final Fantasy. But the next destination is the Water Crystal, and we can't get to the Sunken Temple without riding the barrel. The girl will not let us ride the barrel until we find something to breathe underwater. Well, the ferry is missing from the town, so now we have to go find the ferry, who is trapped in a bottle in the middle of a desert at a caravan. So we go to the desert, we get the caravan to give us the bottle of the ferry, we take the ferry to the town, we let the ferry out of the bottle, the ferry gives us the thing to breathe underwater, which is called Oxyale, which is fantastic. Then we go back to the girl who's preventing us to get into the barrel, we take the Oxyale, we say, hey look, we got the Oxyale. She's like, okay, good, peace out. She disappears, don't even know. But now we can take the barrel to go to the water shrine, and wouldn't you know it, the next dungeon's on. And per the usual, we get the monsters, we do the loot thing, we knock a couple of things off the checklist, but the most important thing here is to realize just how freaking strong the party has gotten. They are decked out and very strong. Even the land sharks can't stop them, and Nikolai is performing like a beast, doing some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fisticuffs. It's almost as if being naked is exactly how games are meant to be played. We're finally on to the Kraken. So I did the basic strategy where I tried to set up some defense and just slap him around. It took me a little bit because I thought the Kraken would kind of put up a fight, you know. He is a boss, so you gotta kind of think You know, I'm having Lich PTSD at this point. But anyways, to the point, the Kraken's a water type and there's no water defense spells. There's frost, but it's not the same thing, so I didn't know what to do, so I got a little stumped. However, I just had the characters attack. Turn really wasn't dealing much damage. I had Gilly on healing, and Nikolai was actually pulling his weight. Holy crap, what a beast. I tried to see if the boss was resistant to ice, so like I took off my ice weapon, put a different weapon on to see if I could deal more damage, and to be honest, this boss turned out to be the easiest of all of them, but I was just really slow at taking him out for some reason. Most of Kraken's turns were wasted trying to cast ink, and all that does is make you look cool as hell. But you know what? I was overthinking the whole fight. I slapped the shit out of the Kraken. 8 more achievements to go. During the Sunken Shrine, there was actually a Rosetta Stone we had picked up. Now, it wasn't that big of a deal because I was just hunting chests, but it sucks for anyone who missed it. But we had to go find a scholar to read the Rosetta Stone to help us learn a dead language that is clearly still here because an entire village of people speaks it, but whatever, I have achievements to hunt. So now we can speak to the people of the village, and then someone in that village gives me a chime. Because that makes sense. Okay, on to the final crystal. So the next destination is the Wind Crystal, which we need to get through the Mirage Tower, which is another place with chests, monsters, we kill some Black Knights, unicorns, high-tech machinery. We climb all the way to the top to learn we need a warp key to move on. So we rush right the hell out of there to go get a warp key from a random cave under a random waterfall, which you need the canoe for. Who the hell comes up with this shit? How would you know how to get there and do what this stuff is all wanting you to do? I don't know. Thank God for Nintendo Hotline. Oh wait, that's been disconnected. But you know, realistically, we do have Google. That's probably a lot faster and far more convenient than trying to talk to someone over a phone. Christ, game design has come quite a long way. Anyways, we get our key, thank God, back up the tower. So luckily, you all didn't have to witness that long-ass journey. It was just a couple of seconds of me ranting here, but that's what Twitch is for. If you want to see the whole thing, it's probably still on Twitch, maybe. Anyways, we use the warp key, we get up to the end of the final location, which gives us yet another achievement. 7 left to go. So the warp key takes us up to the Flying Fortress, where then we climb a whole bunch of stairs to get to the top, which is 50 minutes of grinding. So the party was pretty frickin' swole when we got there. I wasn't worried about this battle. Kraken was insanely easy. So the battle begins against Tiamat. I set the knights up to prepare for some elemental defenses. Big's gonna buff Nikolai, so Nikolai could punch the shit out of a dragon. It was looking pretty good. However, for some reason, the defenses spells missed. How the hell do they miss? Why can't I buff myself? So I was like, okay, whatever, you know, we'll just try to go out for an all-out defense. Hit Tiamat. Tiamat hit me, and it kind of tickled. It was hilarious. You know, so then I was like, okay, so Galerius gets on the healing staff, free heals. It should out-heal the physical damage. However, then the next turn, Tiamat's magic shows up and just kind of casts this extremely spooky AF AoE damage. That was a lot of letters because that was a lot of damage. And I kind of realized I kind of have to protect the party, so healing has to start coming out. But every turn that the area of effect magic started to hit me, the healing was very weak in comparison. I was beginning to get desperate, so I tried to have Big cast another defensive spell. But nothing. Nothing. It was hopeless. I was boned. It was over. We didn't save. It was 50 minutes of grinding to this point. Tiamat started to even nibble at Nikolai's ankles. It was looking hopeless. We knew this was an issue because I was having flashbacks to Nikolai being frail, and it was horrible. It was horrible. You know, keeping AoE heals up through Gilly on the life staff is like barely able to keep everyone alive, and boom, out of nowhere, Tiamat died. I'll take it. I'll take it. The final crystal's been reactivated. I can breathe. 6 more achievements left to go. I'll take it. That was absolutely terrifying, and I would never want to go through that battle like that again. I thought I was prepped, and I was not. Well, we defeated Tiamat. We fulfilled the prophecy of reuniting the power crystals or something. Or I don't know. We touched all the crystals. So What next? There's obviously a final boss fight, and you may ask, we already got all the locations explored achievement, so where's the final dungeon? Well, actually, the final dungeon is the first dungeon. You have to go revisit it, and fancy things happen. But before we do, we have a couple things to do. We found adamant in the Flying Fortress, so we're going to take that to the Dwarf Cave to get the Excalibur crafted, the legendary weapon, pretty much the best sword in the game. And we're going to give that to Gilirus, not Turin, but Gilirus, in case you wanted to know which warrior was going to hold the legendary weapon. And then we went out and bought 99 of everything I could fit into the backpack. But before we go to the final boss, we have to face off against the OG of super secret bosses. So we have to actually go all the way back up the Mirage Tower, all the way back up the Flying Fortress. Just to be clear, the super boss, called Warmech, is found on the same floor that we had fought Tiamat on. He has like a 5% or less, I think it's a 0.5% chance of spawns. It's really low. It's like a 5 or 0.5% chance. I forget. The journey up here took so long. Oh, it's like the same amount of time it took me to get here the first time, it took again. And then you might ask, well, if I was going to fight Tiamat and I was already there, why not fight Warmech now? And the reason is pretty simple. I didn't have Excalibur, and this super boss, or just regular enemy as he is pretty damn tough, so I wasn't going to risk dying to him just to have to keep climbing this tower. So, you know, I've finished off Tiamat, we saved, I'm stronger now, and the amount of time it took to actually bump into him, all my characters hit level 50, so we got an achievement out of the way, 5 more to go. And then it happened. Oh fuck. There he is, Warmech. How do we tackle this? What attacks does he have? I didn't research this, I didn't know what to do, I didn't know how to expect, I just knew it could be a scary fight.
Tactical nuke incoming!
Woo! We're gonna die! Immediately, I got Turin on healing duty with potions. We gotta have Gilly on offense with Excalibur. Big's gonna have to do buffs. Nikolai's gonna have to punch him.
Tactical nuke!
Woo! What did he do? Oh my god. Okay, so I was freaking out. This guy's just nuking the whole party. And I thought to myself, I don't even know what to do. He's just gonna nuke us. We're all gonna die. And lucky me, he used a laser on Turin. And that wasn't too bad. Everything was going to calm down. Only one member had to survive. Only one. So I got Big back on his feet with the Phoenix down. I'm going to get Nikolai on his feet, but...
Tactical nuke!
We're gonna die. What are we gonna do? I'm struggling to heal, and like he's just nuking us, and we're dead next turn, and out of nowhere, Gilly kills that mother. Warmech killed both Turin and Nikolai, missing out on that hot, massive experience boost. You bastard. But holy crap. Before Warmech shows up a second time, we got the hell out of there. And if it wasn't for that clutch elixir play, we were doomed. But we made it first try. Now you may have noticed, we fought Satan himself and didn't get an achievement for that. And you might ask, why the hell would we fight that monstrosity? And one of our few achievements left in this game is to fight every monster in the game, but that beast does not come with an achievement himself. But he is included in the bestiary. So at least we took that out of the way, and now we only need Chaos, which is the final boss. So to complete our quest to 100%, we're now set to do so by just simply defeating the final boss Chaos, as I've made sure to defeat every enemy along the way. So what's next? We're going back to the Chaos Shrine. Here, we take the 4 crystals, return 2,000 years into the past to stop Garland from sending the fiends into the future. Don't think about it. So doing the usual journey, we have the last few chests in the game to get, along with a boss rush, then the final boss. So you remember that loot from the beginning of the video I said we got like literally at the beginning from the princess? Well, if you for some reason forgot to talk to the princess, didn't pick that up, you cannot use the loot here to open the stairs. Can you imagine missing that?
Like, just for a moment, imagine not knowing you had to talk to the princess from the start of the game, which I mentioned at the start of the video, for a key item at the end of the game, which I'm using at the end of this video. Like, holy crap, these games are cryptic. Worse than Dark Souls at this point. So anyways, we got our first match with the Lich. This is the beginning of our boss rush. This was rough for the first time around, but we had, everyone just dogpile him until he cast Flare. The damned Earth Fiend has Flare. That's like the most powerful black magic non-elemental spell in, well, except for Ultima, which comes down later in the line, but like, holy crap. So we put Big on heals, while the warriors and the Master Monk just wreck house. Nikolai struggling in the health department because he isn't dodging spells anytime soon. It's actually Big who ends up taking the fall, because Flare ends him completely. But Giliris, with the legendary Excalibur, putting the final hit into the Lich, first boss complete. Next was the rematch against Merilith. I forgot to get Nullfire, as I mentioned the first time we had fought her, so we're going without spell defense again, and instead I just gave Haste to Giliris from Big and hoped for high damage hits. And with Haste on board, I had hoped Giliris was really going to pump the damage, but it really seems that Nikolai has transcended so far that putting Haste on anyone but Nikolai was a bad idea. So before we could watch the Master Monk pull some serious aura punches from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the battle was already over. It was an easy second boss. The Kraken rematch was insanely easy. Really, all I gotta talk about here is the fact that we have the spell Saber from a magical item which any of our characters can cast, and essentially it increases your damage. And then we can cast Haste, which increases how many times you hit, which also increases your damage. So literally, I'm just going to be buffing Nikolai from now on, as Nikolai just literally punches the Kraken out of existence, and we move on. Finally, we have the rematch against Tiamat. The idea I had moving forward was buff Nikolai, let him JoJo his way through the rest of the game. With Haste and Saber, there's really nothing that could stop him. Hitting for over 1,000 damage, it was really clear the monk who had been the butt of all my jokes up to this point and died in majority of the boss battles before is literally the most powerful asset to the team. The fight went so well it was shocking and not really much to talk about. It just seemed like an easy cakewalk to this point. So, right before we walked up to Chaos, I kind of missed a couple of chests, so I went back, grabbed them before the fight, and that puts us at 3 achievements left. Defeat Chaos, complete the Bestiary, which Chaos is the last part of the Bestiary, and then completing all other achievements, which defeating Chaos gives you the other 2, so boom, all 3, literally by killing Chaos. So here we go, we're gonna kill Chaos. So after this long journey, we approach the renowned Knight of Cornelia, who transforms into Chaos, and the final battle begins. Epic music starts playing, and my battle plan was solid. Buff everybody with defenses, and buff Nikolai with attack. We used magical equipment to cast Invisora, which would increase evasiveness. I thought that would help defensively, and with everyone being transparent and smacking Chaos around, it felt like it was going good for a while. Damage from Nikolai was actually really good, and Chaos himself was actually hitting pretty damn hard. Holy crap. His magic was not a joke. Big and Nikolai were getting a bit low on health, and so I had to have 2 characters on heals. We put Giliris on heals even though he had Excalibur, because he had more smarts than Turin, which made his healing do just a little more. And that's when Chaos kinda decided to slap Giliris to the ground. Oh my god. Even with Protect and Invisora, they weren't enough to stop a single attack. The haste spell that Chaos put on himself at the start of combat was an issue. It was causing his attacks to hit so hard it just downed everybody. I wasn't able to keep up if he was gonna hit Nikolai or Big. So I was like, let's get Gilly back on his feet. We threw a Phoenix down on his body, hoping Nikolai would eventually deal enough damage that the battle ends. But then the AoE magic started hitting, and that still hit pretty damn hard, and that made picking up an ally impossible because they just go right back down. And then Turin gets slapped to the ground. It seems the timer was ticking and there was nothing I could do but hope that Nikolai was literally going to carry the team to victory. And again, we tried to pick up Gilirus and help spread out that healing, and I realized I don't have a way to stop him. This haste effect was too strong, and I couldn't remove the buff from him. Another cyclone hits, and we're hanging on by a thread. Big is spam casting Curaga until he was slapped to the floor, followed by Nikolai. And this would be the first time the party had ever fallen in the 11-hour journey. I cried. I was sad, because now we had to walk all the way back here again. So briefly I had to think about this. In a rematch, I had to hope to God he didn't cast haste on himself. Big knows slow, but it's extremely likely that Chaos is immune to that effect, so if he casts haste on himself, I can't slow him down. So this would change my strategy a bit. So here comes the rematch for Chaos. I would ignore defenses and go straight for the throat. So now we're on the offensive. Putting Gilirus on heals again because he's big brain, and I probably should have moved Excalibur over to turn, but hey, you know what, wasn't thinking. Big is on buffs, and we're gonna buff Nikolai. Nikolai is gonna be busy duking it out with his fists. Chaos hits hard, but without haste, it doesn't instantly down my party, which is fantastic. The party is set with buffs, and the damage is getting real. Gilirus tanking the next heavy basic attack while the party struggles to keep on its feet with all this magical damage. Oh my god. Another hit strikes Gilirus, and he is now in critical condition. But then Chaos goes for Slow Raw, which wouldn't have been too bad as it would have just gone for Big, and that only reduces how many times your physical attacks hit, not your turns, or how fast you are in your turn, so we're pretty good there. The health of the party was dropping though, and we couldn't really keep up. We're resorting to swapping into potions now simply to keep people alive. I just needed one alive. Big takes a huge hit, and then I begin to panic. I have to try to predict how Chaos is gonna dismantle my party, and I tried to cast slow on him, even though I said I knew it wouldn't work because he might be immune. It just had to try it in case haste did come along, and I was right earlier. Chaos is immune to slow, so I just had to start pumping everyone with potions. Big's casting Curagas, and it's being tossed out like candy, and I'm still barely hanging in there. We're lucky that his Earthquake missed, because if I'm not mistaken, that's an insta-kill for the party, and that could have been the end. But hey, we dodged it like a boss, and this battle is proving to be far more terrifying than Warmech. I believe I was told Warmech was harder. Oh hell no, I'll take those nukes any day at this point. So I try to put Big on offensive magic, but Chaos literally brushes it off. It's kind of hilarious that Big doesn't deal that much damage with magic. But you know, then Chaos just has to show off and hit us back with heavier magic because he hits us with Flare. But that's good news because Flare is his like last ditch effort when he hits 25% health. So this might be it, boys. We might have won, but our party's not looking so great. But then Nikolai comes in clutch. That final blow. The boss is defeated, and we finally get our final achievements. And so the story ends. Oh my god. Essentially, the time loop is ended, meaning that the story never happened. And those who are a part of it have fragmented memories of the events, but no one's sure if it was even real, so essentially it's kind of like that's why it's a story of fantasy and it's a tale of myth and legend. So that's the ending. It's like you break the time loop after going back in time and then it's never happened before. Fancy. However, regardless of the lore and the confusing story, the journey 400% was real. We conquered every boss, we found every chest, we played everything the game had to offer. It took 2 separate streams of a total of 11 hours, most of which could have been avoided if I read a guide, but stubborn me wanted to play the game from memory. Bad idea. And so now you know the journey it takes to get to Final Fantasy 100% achievements. The hunt is easy overall, following a couple little guides, you'll get all the chests you need, and the monsters is pretty simple. And again, if you miss anything, which I had missed plenty, you just go back and get it done at any time. You didn't have to do it in the middle or anything. And unlike other games, you don't have to, you know, do a totally separate run of like 40 hours of whatever if you miss something. So Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster is actually a really great trip down memory lane until you meet all those random encounters. I hope you all enjoyed this journey with me, and I hope to see you all for the next time we tackle Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster. That's right, baby, strap yourselves in for more random encounters, because we're doing the whole Final Fantasy series plus Payday 2. So it's fancy, we're doing a whole bunch, but if you like this video, let me know. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, good game.